All right, guys, let's get into it. I'm going to do Belmont pick 5 today, not because I think this is an overly stimulating card, but I do think there's a couple of races that might throw some people for a loop and might help the pick 5 pay well. I'll do the late one. The early one, there's a couple likely singles in there. Race number 1, everybody's going to take the entry, right? The 1x investment income is the one that I would look to in there, but you get the one with it or the 1A ballot initiative. Another horse I like in there, the 3 synonymous possibility at a long price. Race number 5 is where I wanted to make a win bet, but I just am not really sure what this horse is going to pay, probably 0. So the 5th race at Belmont, I would make this a key in the early pick 5 for sure. Mile and the 16th on the grass. It's just a typical Chad Brown horse who showed a lot early on in this race, had the inside post position, not a great spot for a first-time starter. There's a couple things that worry me a bit about this. He wasn't an overly expensive purchase for a war front down, but she's fairly young in her breeding career. Obviously, she's not that old. She was last racing in 2016. This is the first full, and she only ran 3 times. But I think that there's some interesting things there. Tourist is kind of an interesting sire. He's certainly decent at throwing the turf horses, above average in terms of turf percentage winners, 17 and 15. First-time starters, a little bit below average. 3-year-olds overall, he's 14%. So anyways, he looks like he's pretty turfy. This performance here was impressive. Kawaimea River came back and raced, I thought, creditably in the race. I think it was yesterday. He was moving well the 22nd, let's say the 24th. So a couple days ago, he was moving well in this little stake race here. It was won by a real long shot, but I still thought it was an okay effort. So advise and consent, just showing all kinds of signs first out. Anyways, let's get into the pick 5. So yeah, advise and consent. If you're playing pick 6, I guess you just go with him, right? Pick 6, I don't know. I like to play the 50-cent pick 5s a little bit more, I think. 30,000 on 2, turf, mile and the 16th to kick us off. You can see my picks here for those of you who are asking to see my selections. I've got the 2, 3, and 12. I will use all 3 of those. It's kind of an interesting race on a lot of different levels. I think the 2 and the 3 are obviously the ones. The 3-horse Tulfaris should win this race. This looks like his race to win. Yes, he's 1 for 23, but in North America, he's 0 for 5. It sounds a little bit better, but he's been running against a little bit better competition. First start for the Bond stable. It's nice when you get a horse in your barn and you get to drop it right away. That's always good. A couple of these races in Great Britain were okay. I have this that's showing multiple lines here. We'll just go back and see if we can get it to go down a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better. But yeah, so Tulfaris, he'll probably be the favorite in here. He's no cinch, but I think he's somewhat logical. The 2-horse Made My Day. This last start was so bad. If this last start wasn't that bad, I'd be a little bit more behind him. The previous efforts were okay. Again, this is a horse that doesn't seem to want to win, but at least he finds like competition in this non-2. The 12 Digital Software is a horrible bet. He's a horrible bet for so many reasons. Because it's Chad Brown, I will throw him in. I would normally leave a horse like this out, but this is a totally deferring to what this barn does. 2 voided claims now, but the fact is he won fairly professionally here. I thought it was a good run for him. He doesn't have to be much to beat these. Again, he looks a little bit on the slow side, so he needs to get a little bit quicker than this. The 79 that he ran as a 3-year-old would probably be enough to put him right in the fray. I'm just not seeing a lot else in this race. I toyed with the idea of the 6-horse Caribbean Gold just as a speed factor. And the fact that the Mike Maker barn in the last 2 weeks, the stats are really getting strong. He's coming back on a good roll, but it seems to be with the dirt sprinters more than the turf horses. Caribbean Gold, though, his strength is his speed. I just thought that there might be a couple others that could possibly push him early on. Yeah, it's one of those races, so we'll see. Let's just get this so we're getting a little bit more reasonable lines here. There we go. Okay, Now we're looked at number. It's Sunday. It feels like I'm discombobulated this morning, but I've been handicapping all morning. Race. I'm gonna hit this pick 5 today. That's my plan. Race 7. This is 6 furlongs, 16 non-2. You see my picks here: the 2, the 3, and the 8. This race is completely full of unreliable horses. I'm not in love with this race. I would hit the all button if I was being silly, but I think there's a couple you really don't need to worry about, so I won't do that. Miss Pepina, totally unreliable. This horse was so for sale here. Boy, it was like, buy me. And unfortunately, fortunately, maybe she'll come around a little bit. If she even remotely can crawl back to any of these previous efforts, she should win this race. I mean, she was well meant early on, but then obviously the wheels fell off big time. Big time. This may be more representative of what she is now, and a 46 buyer actually might win this race, but it's not going to be, it's something that I want to bet a lot of money on. The 7 East Wing, I'm going to leave out, although I feel, again, she's kind of the same story. I just don't like this barn off of a layoff, so I will leave East Wing off. If you want to get a little more, spend a little bit more money, maybe she's one you want to include. If this horse had any finish, I'd put her in because she does have speed, the 4 Dazzling Speed. I think the 3 horse Bustin' My Groove is the one to beat. I think this last race was solid. If she can just run back to this, she probably wins this race. And I'll throw the 2 horse Cherokee Song in. Not a barn I usually play, not a kind of horse I would normally play, especially in a pick 5. She's 1 for 28 for a reason. But 17 of those, well, her lone win too, were on the turf. She's not the worst horse in the world. A couple of these dirt numbers, like this 66 back here, yeah, it was on the slop at Aqueduct in April. Probably doesn't come back to that. On a fast track, she's more like a 55. That's what she's done. But that may be enough to win this race. So it is just one of those ugly races right in the middle of the pick 5. Race number 8, my favorite race on the card by far. By far the best race, in my opinion, on the card. 50 starters for the mares, mile and the 16th on the grass. I looked at the 1 horse Lido Key, again, for reasons. She just missed. She probably needed that start. She'd been off a bit. But she missed the entire summer of grass racing. So I'm just really suspect on what she is right now. But they're protecting her, so that's also a good sign. Took her out of the 40 claimer, put in this 50 starter. I would play her in, like the verticals for sure, exactas and stuff like that, but I'm just not going to put her in my pick 4 or pick 5 because there were other horses I preferred that I didn't want to leave out, including the ones exiting the common race of Princess Fazia. Princess Fazia on fire right now. She just won again. Giggle Factory, she ran okay here. I thought that she got a really good trip, but at least she finished on, and she was coming at Princess Fazia. If Princess Fazia wasn't running so well right now, I probably would leave this horse alone, but I have to include her just for the fact that she finished within breathing length of that one. And the 7 Gambling Cat, I thought, had the better race of Giggle Factory Gambling Cat. She was wide, she was up close to the pace, she was contesting it throughout, and still finished right there, not far back. So now makes second start off the shelf, goes to a different stable. Mark Cassidy doesn't claim many horses, but she's legitimate. She's an interesting sort. So Gambling Cat definitely on the ticket. And the 8 Command Point, the last race was too good to ignore. I thought it was in the same 50 starter. She's probably the horse to beat in here, quite honestly, but I do want to include those other couple. Exotic West may take some play. I've left her out again just as a necessity of not wanting too many horses on the ticket. And I just think that those other ones are a little bit above. 9th race, we will move on. Another grass race, 1.5 miles. I won't talk about this one too long. The point of entry, it looks to me like the 2 inside horses are the ones you want. The 2 Shamrock, it's going to be a huge favorite. Deservedly so. This always worries me. 3 wins. Yeah, he's been running against tough horses, so that's not the worst thing. But 6 seconds, 7 thirds. It's a good thing. By doing that, he's compiled over $350,000 in earnings, but he just doesn't seem to have that killer instinct. Then you start to look at some of the horses he's run against, and, like Gufo's in there. So, yeah, he's been a little bit tough. Gufo's in here, too, against Tide of the Sea, and he was right next to him. So, Tide of the Sea, I think, has the best chance to beat Shamrocket. The rest, I can't make anything else in here be even remotely. I like this colt. Jonathan Thomas is gelding, experienced, but he's light on that. He is going to have to jump up so much to be able to compete in there. It wouldn't even be funny. I had to customize this to my own. I have so many different filters here. Okay, yeah, that's much better. Now we got it. And the 10th and final race, so yeah, just the 1 and the 2 out of there. 10th and final, I've got the 2, the 4, and the 5, and these are maiden 25s, New York sired, just to make it more interesting. Going the 6 furlongs, the one I will, the one, this work here, 47 and 2, is interesting. It's not surrounded by any other works that look interesting. The gate work was slow, so I don't know. Is it legit? I don't know. I'm not taking a chance. I'm a little interested, but not enough to, mind you, he hasn't shown that he can't run at all, which some of these others have. The 2 horse Remember Mom is on the ticket. This last race good enough to win here. These connections is you might actually get 5 to 1, 6 to 1. A horse, like if this horse was in, somebody else's barn, like Todd Pletcher, that he wouldn't have this horse in his barn, but you know what I'm saying. These connections are light enough that that this last race is good enough to win here, and does cut back, and I kind of like that too. Showed speed, now turns back in distance, all good angles. The 3 horse I don't want a piece of. The 4 Suit of Armor, 3 turf races. Brad Cox convinced this was a turf horse. The horse is now convinced him he's not. He's also convinced him that he's not much, because he goes right into 25. Brad, maiden special to maiden claiming is 34%. Maiden special to maiden claiming, first time dirt might be a little bit more interesting. Well, let's just pull that up here. Maiden special and maiden claiming, and we'll say, I don't think they have first time dirt. No, turf to dirt. We'll just do turf to dirt, and we've got 29%. So yeah, it's good enough on this circuit, because he does run these horses on a lot of other places. 2 for 5. The sample gets too small to really mean anything. But anyways, we're talking about a horse that's going to probably be the favorite in this field, and deservedly so. I will throw the 5 horse Caden in. I debated about this one a long time. He does have a little bit of tactical speed, which he showed last time, and I like that. He also has a whole lot of fade in him, but being another one that's dropping from, maiden special into maiden allowance, he ended up being one that I would include in that race. So that's the pick 5, late pick 5. Again, a couple of those fringe players, that's why I've been enjoying the pick 5s at Belmont, because you get a couple, because the pools are decent. You get a couple of the fringe players, coming in, and it's paying $2,000. Yesterday's paid $2,500. I thought it was totally gettable. I didn't play it yesterday. That's why I'm kind of in on it today. Anyways, other than the 4 horse race 5, I don't have any strong win opinions that aren't likely to be big favorites. That's it for me. Have a great Sunday, honestly. Gosh, the betting's been fun. The betting has been really, really good lately. I still am playing mostly win, but I'm starting to back it up with some more exotic plays, because the parlays, there's so many people playing races now, and the pools are so big that the parlays are playing like way, way more than you would even expect. So there's lots of value out there. Go get some for yourself. Have a great Sunday, and we'll see you next week.